Hey there everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi. You're a little zoomed in right now. I'm not sure if you can tell, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a WIP Chat. And so I've got my little setup here. I might bring you out just slightly here and just slightly again if I can. Okay, we'll do that. That's gonna be a good enough angle. I always struggle with the, see how the pen becomes in focus and then it goes, so it puts the actual diamond painting out of focus. So I've noticed a lot of times that, that my videos will go in and out, in and out, in and out. And I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm just gonna have to kind of diamond paint a little bit at an angle here. If you do see some of that focus blur, my apologies. But yeah, welcome to this week's WIP Chat. I'm super excited. I actually have some time to do one. But yeah, I wanted to just hop on and talk a little bit about what's been going on with me, give some updates here about some things. And yeah, just I guess generally catch up. But as far as what I'm using, kind of back to the beginning, this is Astrid. This is the kit that I'm working on. This is by Myka, Jelina and Diamond Art Club. And this is a kit that I'm doing for the Mykathon event that's being run by Jenny Rose, as well as the Rainbow Sparklers event. I'm kind of doing a twofer here. So this is a 56 by 74 round drill canvas. We've got 34 colors here with 4 ABs, and then I'm dressing it up with some sparklers from DP with Sparklers, as well as the ABs that already come in it, and I've got some metallics from Diamond Art Club thrown in the mix too. So I'm just kind of going through it, trying to get this kit done for those events. I'm working with Everlasting Tips. I've got a 3-placer on this side, a single placer on this side. The pen is from Norse Alchemist. And then I've got my Mooney Maid trays that I'm working out of. And this is, I forget exactly what color blue this is, but I've also got a UV changing white one over here, if you can see that. Yep. So that's what we've got going on today. I'm just kind of trying to stay cool. It has been really, really hot here in the Denver area. I got home and I've been getting home every day and literally just going and taking a cool shower or a tepid shower just to kind of get that sweaty, greasy feeling off of me and just kind of cool off a little bit. And it's one of the reasons why I've been kind of procrastinating doing videos or filming this week and late last week, is because I have to turn the swamp cooler off for people to hear me. It's quite loud and it's right here in the craft room. It's not like it's somewhere else in the house. So I have to turn it off in order to film, and it gets so hot so fast. And so today it's still crazy hot, but I was like, I can't go another week without putting anything up. Luckily, I did have some unboxings kind of in the bank to use for a rainy day. And then I was also able to record a last minute unboxing over the weekend just to kind of supplement for not having a WIP Chat. But I wanted to do one this week, so here I am. We've got the AC off. I'm hoping it doesn't warm up too fast. I took a cool shower. Apollo has a raw bone that's actually frozen, so he's got that. And in addition to all that, I think I mentioned it a number of times, but prior to my diamond painting channel, I was really into skincare, and skincare was almost a hobby for me as far as doing reviews, and a lot of times I'd get sent PR from companies to sample their stuff. I even worked on the marketing and development of a particular company or a particular product and brand. So I was like kind of a not as self-proclaimed, but in that community, which is also fairly tight-knit. I had a blog with almost 500 reviews on it, and then I discovered diamond painting. But anyway, all of that is to say I still have a pretty extensive skincare collection, and one thing that I like to do when it's hot is put on a face mask. like a nice cooling face mask. Sometimes it'll be like a sheet mask that's actual like fabric. Other times it's a paint on. So I'm currently wearing a paint on mask that is from a Korean brand called Inward Skincare. Very, very excellent products, but they have this green tea and mugwort mask, paint on mask. It's like a gel kind of mask, but it has the actual pieces of green tea and mugwort tea on it, and it's incredibly cooling, anti-redness, super soothing. It's like my go-to summer, my skin's feeling hot, I'm feeling overworked mask, and it has this delicious herbal kind of green tea, slightly chamomile-y scent to it, and it is just a pleasure to wear. So I've got that on now. So if I'm talking a little weird, that's why. And I'm gonna have to pause this at a certain point and go and rinse it, because it does feel a little bit ticklish because it's got actual like chunks of green tea in it. So it's a little bit ticklish to talk. I guess I've never really talked this much while wearing it. So it's kind of hard to talk because it's like tickling under my nose and tickling next to my chin, because those little bits and pieces are kind of rubbing up against my facial hair. So we'll see how long I go before I'm like, enough, let's go rinse it off. It is a pain to, if you just rinse it in the sink, those little bits of green tea get everywhere. So I always suggest wetting down a wash rag, like a warm wash rag, and then kind of very gently wiping it away and rinsing that in the sink, rather than doing the whole bend over the sink and scrub. But I love it. This is like my go-to, like my skin is, everything is just hot. This kind of just puts me in a really cool, relaxed place. So anyway, so that's kind of what I've got going, face and diamond painting. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic week thus far. I hope you're staying cool wherever you are. Or if you're in a place where you'd like to be more warm, I hope you're staying warm. But I feel like this heat wave is just affecting everyone right now. And yeah, it's just crazy here in Denver. It's luckily, knock on wood, and I feel like I shouldn't even say it, but luckily we haven't had any issues as far as heat related issues in the forests or anything like that. Like, at least not anything major, knock on wood. So I'm hoping that temps start to cool down before we experience any of that, because the last couple of years or few years have been really rough. So with this heat has come a surprising amount of rain and moisture. So I think another thing that's impacting my like, this is awful, is because it is pretty humid, and typically Colorado is very dry, but with all the rain that we've been getting here in the Denver metro area, and I think most places, that heat is making it actually feel a little bit muggy, and that not only isn't very comfortable, but it renders your swamp coolers pretty much unusable or ineffective, because they need the dry air to incorporate the moisture to cool it. But if the air is already damp and humid, it doesn't cool the air. Essentially, it can't add any more water to cool it than is already there. So it's just pushing more hot, muggy air into your house. So I've been just keeping the swamp cooler on fan mode, and just essentially blowing around hot air all day. So it's just, nothing's really working, unfortunately. I do have a regular AC unit that's got like the compressor and everything out in the garage from my last place, but that thing is such an energy sucker. It just, that thing alone, it's one of those in-house units that'll drive the electric bill up pretty significantly, especially more than the swamp cooler, because that's just a fan with a little water pump attached to it. So I want to avoid that, because I don't want our landlord to be like, what is going on? Or, okay, we're going to have to charge you more than, a little bit more than the even split that we've been doing, because they have a swamp cooler downstairs. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think he would do that, but he's also a friend, so I don't want him to look at that bill and feel like he has to eat that extra $30 or $40 a month because we've got our fancy AC unit upstairs. So yeah, but that thing, I do miss it. It just chills the room. So I don't know, maybe it might be worth it, because we are running that swamp cooler pretty much 24/7 when I'm not filming. and that other one, it turns on and off automatically based on the temp. So who knows, maybe that would actually be more cost effective. I'm not sure. I'll have to get his opinion on it. He seemed pretty reluctant the first time I mentioned that I had one of those units, because I think he knows how much energy they take. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on over here from a temperature standpoint. But yeah, like I said, make sure to leave in the comments kind of like what you're up to. I always like to hear people's status updates, or if you do a video, make sure to, or if you're doing a WIP Chat or something, make sure to tag me in it or link me in it. That way I can discover more people's content, because I try to do my best to watch WIP Chats and get on lives, but things just get busy, you know. So yeah, I'm just cranking through this kit. I've got what is it? Self-Portrait by Tamara de Lempicka. I've got that sitting in the closet. I'm gonna try to get this finished, as this Astrid for the Mykathon, as quickly as possible. And it's not like I'm still enjoying it. And this actually has been a really fun kit to work on, because I'm putting a lot of my own little special twist on it. So it's actually moving pretty quickly. It is rounds, but I want to get that done early. And then I think what both of those events are doing is, like, let's say I finish this in week 3, then I can just keep posting my finish for week 4 or week 3, week 3 and then week 4 to be included in the giveaways for those weeks. So I still get a chance to participate even though I'm done with my kit. But I'd like to get this done, and then I'd like to get done with the Self-Portrait by Tamara de Lempicka. I only have 3 sections left on that kit. So if I could do 2 finishes, or have 2 finishes in a month, that would be like a record for me. Usually it takes me a month at least. I guess the captain from Diamond Art Club moved really fast, but that was just all color blocking. But yeah, it'd be kind of a first milestone to have 2 kits done in a month. That would be kind of crazy. So I'm looking forward to that. I still have my last WIP, which is The Red Gate of Hongo in Snow by Hiroki Takahashi and Uniquely Yours Down Under. That was my first, my second Summer with the Masters kit that I started, and I ended up kind of bailing on it. I do intend on finishing it, but it's going to be an ongoing WIP just when I have the energy and the patience for that confetti and all the ABs. Then I'll work on it maybe a little bit of it at a time. You know, I'll do 100 drills, or I'll do half a section, but I'm not setting myself any sort of timeline. Even if I don't officially come back to it in earnest until next year's Summer with the Masters, that's fine by me. So it's not any issues with the canvas. I just, A, shouldn't have selected ABs, and B, the confetti is just, I know a lot of people like confetti, but I ended up, the spot that stopped me, and I think I mentioned it before, is there's a section that I think is 8 or 9 different, slightly different shades of red, all in one section, and it's all confetti too. So think of, like, it looks like a solid block of red with some mild differences, 8 or 9 different symbols, and every single one is mixed up. Like, you don't have a lot of connecting symbols. So I peeled off the release paper and I was like, you know what? I'm all set. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this away. And I never came back, and that was in July. So we'll see. We'll see if I get back to that one at some point. I'm blissfully happy in my non-crazy confetti world right now. Even though there is a decent amount of confetti in this kit, especially when we're looking at her dress. It's not that bad. It's really a nice mix of confetti and color blocking. I just finished a section, you can see it here, that is pretty significant color blocking between 939, like a deep blue and then a lighter blue. And then even further down here, this is all one color right in here. So decent amount of color blocking. I'm not complaining. And like I said, I'm loving, I hope we get to see some during this WIP Chat. I'm not sure how long I'll go, but I am loving the crystals, or the sparklers from DP with Sparklers. If there's none in this section when I reveal it, I'm going to show them to you anyway because they're just so much fun. So we've got Y, which is 31. So yeah, this is the first kit that I've done where I kind of pre-selected some specialty drills to work into the kit. I guess I didn't pre-select them before the kit came in. The kit came in and I looked at it and sectioned it off and went to go get started. And my intention was just to use some quad cubes in her eyes, and that was going to be my sparkler edition because I didn't have anything else. And it's like, do I want to make a special order just for this kit, for this event? You know, am I that in love with it? So I kind of toyed with the idea, and then I got to the first area where I was like, I want to do some enhancements here that's going to look so much like. I kind of got inspired as I saw the canvas. So I think I did like half a section and was like, no, let's go ahead and order. So I went ahead and ordered. I didn't match them to DMC code, the sparklers or anything that I bought. I just kind of did it by eye. And then when they came in, I tried to match them with the colors that were already, the colors that were already kitted up. If you want to kind of take a look at my process there, I do have a This Is How We Do It video covering kind of my approach to picking out those specialty drills from DP with sparklers. So Apollo's sniffing around. That usually means it's potty time. So I'm going to take him out, wash my face or rinse off this gloop, and we'll be right back. Bye. Okay, hello. Got him all settled using the restroom, and now he just stepped away. Oh, he's back. Apollo, come here. Come here, baby. Trying to keep an eye on this kiddo. So yeah, I ended up rinsing that mask off, and then I went ahead and picked out a new toner and serum out of the stash to try. I've got so much, and this is not a brag by any means, but I just have a lot of stuff. You know, when I have a hobby, I tend to start like collecting the things, and I've been better with diamond painting, but not much better. But with skincare, it's a little bit different because there's an expiration date to a lot of that stuff. Like you got to use it within like a couple of years or 1 year or 3 years. So it's not like okay, well, I'll get to that diamond painting, you know, in a couple of years or what have you. Like I have to use this stuff within a certain amount of time. So it definitely, now that I'm not really doing like reviews and stuff and not feeling obligated to like crank through products, I'm kind of trying to use stuff until I'm either out or I want to give it away or I'm not feeling it, which luckily does happen, you know, in a relative rotation. But before, I was using something for a month, like a cleanser, whatever it was, for a month. I'd write my review, do my photos, post it all, and then either put it in a giveaway bag or donate it or what have you. And now, since I'm not doing that, I don't feel obligated to like switch every month, but that's the kind of purchasing rotation that I was on. So I've got like 86 cleansers. So I'm like, okay, well, now if I'm not going to, you know, use them, or if I'm using them till they're gone, they could last for months and months, you know, like one big old bottle could last you 3 or 4 months. So I'm only going to get to 3 of those a year, but I've got 10 that expire. You know, it's just that conundrum. So I'm still having to do a lot of giveaways. I do them mostly at work, which have an update there. But what I'll usually do is I have like a bag of stuff and I'll use it for a month. Even though I don't write a review or anything, I'm just like, all right, I'm bored, next. And so I'll put it in the bag, and then I take it to work, and I've just been saying, oh, the, you know, talent acquisition skincare store is open, and everyone, you know, will flock over there and grab either things that I didn't even open because they were sent to me and I don't think I would ever use them, or something that I did lightly use and then decided to move on. So they pick through those. And then I had a lot of completely unopened stuff. And as it was getting, you know, within a year of the expiration date or 6 months of the expiration date, and I couldn't think of anyone to give it to, or, you know, all the stuff that had been picked through at work that was left over, I just drop it off at the women's shelter on the way home. So that's typically what I do. I need to get back into that routine of doing that because the past couple times I've just been not in the mood to, I guess, box it up and schlep it to the office. So I've just been like for instance, the last face cleanser that I finished, I just squeezed the rest of it into the hand soap bottle to fill it up. And I'm like, this is really expensive hand soap now. This is not the best use of this. So I can't be that lazy. I need to at least like schlep it into the office and give people a chance to pick through it or go donate it. So anywho, so that's kind of what's been going on behind the scenes here while I took my little break. Just finished my skincare routine, let Apollo out. Now he's gnawing on his bone. It doesn't have any meat on it left, and I think the marrow's already eaten out of it. It was in the freezer. So he may get a little ornery because there's no good stuff in there, which is fine. I'll give him a new one. He's had that one. I think he's on 3 sessions with that one. I just yanked it out of the freezer. So let's see here. I think that's all I'm going to do on those S's because we're getting a little close to my release paper. So let's get rid of those. So yeah, what else has been going on? I guess we can start with what happened over the past, like, I guess, week or so. Quite a bit. I'll talk small events to bigger events, I guess. Small stuff. Me and Apollo went for a hike a camping trip this past weekend. You might have seen on my last unboxing that it was kind of an impromptu last minute unboxing as I was headed out the door. I just felt like I need to get some kind of content up because I didn't have a WIP Chat. So I went ahead and did that unboxing, literally did that unboxing, put Apollo in the car with our stuff that was going in the front seat with us, water, snacks, that type of thing, and hit the road. So it was like immediate. So did that. We went up to Aspen area. There is a place up there called the Grottos, and essentially it's like a bunch of waterfalls kind of tiered. So it's like a waterfall, then it lands into like a little swimming hole, and then another little 3 to 6 foot waterfall, another swimming hole, and it does that like 6 or 7 times. In each one of those, it's its own little swimming hole. So people will go down there and swim and hang out, and it's really beautiful and picturesque. There's some caves that you can hike into or climb into or down to there as well. So just a lot of fun stuff. So that was the intention, was to go do that. So we got there and decided to just go camp the first night, not worry about going to the grottos. So we set up shop and camped and made brats and fajita steak and, or fajitas, I guess, steak fajitas, and then burgers. Hung out, watched the stars. There was a ton of shooting stars that night. It was super duper clear. We were far enough outside of Aspen that we got some, like, I mean, not that that's like a metropolitan area by any means, but no street lights or anything. Like we were out there. And it was gorgeous. It was a beautiful time. Went with a bunch of awesome friends, had a really good time. And then the next day we were going to make breakfast. I brought like bacon and someone else brought eggs, and I had like English muffins and stuff. But just given the, you know, the fun that was had the night before, everyone was like, let's just pack up and go into town and get some breakfast. We don't feel like cooking. And I wasn't necessarily in that rough of shape, but I will take the suggestion of just going and getting some food in town. So we went back into Aspen and got some breakfast there and just kind of walked around a little bit. They only had one local dog store that we walked by. And so I was like, oh, this is Aspen. It's kind of, you know, a fancier mountain resort kind of town. I was like, well, on our way back out, let's stop in there. Let's see if I can get Apollo like a nice little, you know, little treat. And I go in there, and granted, they did have some decent food brands and stuff, and maybe we'll get to this later on in the chat, but nothing that was like, you know, you see Aspen and it's like, you know, it's a little uppity, I guess. And so I was expecting to be wowed by some of the brands, like maybe something I'd never seen before, but it was just all like the stuff that I'd see at Petco. So I was kind of like, oh man, like I was expecting to walk out of here with like, look at Apollo, we got you some, you know, whatever, artisanal something dog treats, you know, like that's what I like had in my mind. I was like, I'll just get him I'll splurge on him for like some treats or something. And I was sorely disappointed. I was like, oh, this is just like some, you know, some stuff that I could get anywhere. I just was hoping for like a little bit of a fancy experience. But anyway, so we stopped there. Then we're like, okay, grottos, let's go. Let's get to the grottos. And it was packed. And keep in mind, we got there around like 11, which, so not like super early, but I don't think super late for a Sunday. We got there at 11, and granted, the parking lot is pretty small, and I hadn't been up there in years, so maybe it just wasn't as popular when I went up there, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But it was jam packed. There's no like, it's not like you can be like, oh, we'll just park on the side of the road and walk over. It's on this kind of narrow 2-lane thoroughfare that goes in and out of Aspen. And so there's no real place to stop. If you either have to like find a parking spot or you got to keep moving and basically loop around and try again. So we looped around about 3 or 4 times, spent a good half hour or so trying to see if someone was leaving, but there was just so many people trying to get in there. Like, we were not the only ones doing this. So we made the call like, okay, let's just get out of here and let's keep driving down to Twin Lakes. And that's exactly what it sounds like. Up near Leadville, there's a place called Twin Lakes. And so it's just 2 lakes that are connected by kind of a little thing in the middle. It almost kind of looks like an hourglass shape. So we went down there, easy breezy parking, no issues. People were stand-up paddle boarding and canoeing and fishing. And one of my buddies brought his fishing rod, so he quickly got changed and set up shop and just kind of stood a few feet into the water and was fishing. And our other friends were just kind of sunbathing, and I let Apollo off his leash in a little area so he could run around. I think I mentioned it. I put it in the video, I think, of a kid up in chat or a WIP in chat, I don't remember, of him running around on a lake. That's the same lake. It's the same lake from the internship thing that I did. So we went back up to that area. So you know it if you've seen that video. We went back up there and he had same blast, same great time. They tried to get him to go into the water. My roommate, Jeff, waded into the water to try to get him in, and he almost made it. But he just kept freaking out, like, oh, this is too much. And then I finally told Jeff, like, it's okay, just pick him up and you can lower him in there and kind of like guide him around out there. And so he tried that, and like Apollo just made a beeline back for the shore. And then not only did he do that, but he was on leash. He just took off, like headed back towards the car, like, I want out of here. And so I had to like go and run and grab him and coax him back down and like, it's okay, it's fine, we're not gonna do that anymore. Like, I thought you would be okay with it, but he's just a very timid swimmer. Like, once he's in there, he'll swim, but it's just to get back to shore and then he's done. Like, he's not going to like actively pursue getting in there deep. He gets up to like halfway up his legs, and then he runs around at that level. He'll run like in the water and splash and stuff, but he doesn't want to go like chest deep. He's still a little freaked out. So I'm not going to force the subject. Eventually he'll get it. I do need to take him out. I think I might do that here in the next couple weekends. I do need to take him back out to, I forget what it's called, but there's a reservoir here in Colorado that has a specific dog beach. So you can take your dogs, they're allowed off leash, and they can just swim freely and swim with the other dogs, and people can get in the water too. I took Apollo there when he was really young. I guess not really young. It was probably about 2 months ago maybe. So he was about 4 months old. I took him out there and just kind of let him paddle, and I held him and I let him swim a couple of times, and he didn't freak out as much as he did this time, because I think he was more like, what's going on, than like disliking it. So I want to try again with him and just be really patient, because I do want him to learn how to swim. Sorry, I'm going to do this a little bit further off camera. So we did that, and then stopped and let him out to potty on the way home. Otherwise, he is such a good car dog. He will sleep the entire time. This is about a 3-hour drive from where I'm at currently to where like the Twin Lakes area is, and he passed out the entire time. The only time he woke up is when I stopped to get gas and go to the bathroom myself, is when he woke up to go potty. It wasn't like he was bugging me to take a break. He was out like a light the whole time. And of course, when we got back, he had a bunch of energy because he had a good long sleep. But in the car, he does so good and doesn't jump around and no whining or anything like that, he literally will just lay in the back seat and just snore. The only noise I get out of him is like those little dream barks, and he'll position his head so he's right in front of the AC. So I make sure to keep that on him, and he's just good to go. So I almost like am curious to see like what would happen if I did like a longer road trip with him, if he'd be okay with that, or maybe, you know, at some point if we move out of state and have to drive, you know, to a different state, like if he'll be as calm. But yeah, and the other thing that he really likes me to do when we're driving is to put on spoken word stuff. Like seems to really put him to sleep. Music will he'll like kind of keep putting his head up if he hears like the bass or like a certain sound or something. He'll like raise his head to be like, what was that? So I've learned that he does better with spoken words. So like if I have service or if I've remembered to download videos, I'll put on WIP Chats from like Diamonds and Washi or Rachel Ray. I'll put on WIP Chats and he'll just chill, or I'll do podcasts. That's a little bit easier from a download standpoint. He really likes a show called, or not that he really likes it, but this is what I make him listen to. That's so weird. I'm making it sound like he's like, excuse me, I don't like that podcast, but he and I listen to Podcast The Ride. It's a podcast that talks about amusement parks and rides and stuff. A lot of Disney stuff. And even though I'm not really a Disney film fan and I don't really go to the parks, I've only been to each one once in my whole life, but I like hearing about the lore and the history of the Disney parks and the rides and stuff. So we listen to that a lot. But it's all spoken word stuff. So anyway, so yeah, he just does really good in the car. And we had a great weekend overall. It was a really fun weekend. I feel like I haven't camped as much as I did last summer, but I think we're going to finish strong because we have some more plans to go here in the next, not this weekend, but the following, to go at least on a one-day trip. So there's our next section. This one's all done. And I want to show you those DP with sparklers, and I have some down here in the letter E. I have some up here too, but I probably won't touch those until I get closer to there. I'll just do these real quick just so you see them, just so we get them off our plate. So the letter E is going to be symbol 21. And if you remember what I did, oh wait, hold on. 25. What am I talking about? 25. So if you remember what I did is it was a full container and then I had a full container's worth of these. So I've been alternating one for one rather than doing all this. So what I'm going to do first in my tray is I'm just going to put some of these. And what I've been doing, like I said, I've been alternating. So I'll go, here's one E here, and then I'm doing every other. So if it's a diagonal, that counts for me. So I'm going to do one E there. I'm going to do one here, and then skip, since those are alternating. And then I'm going to do one here and one here, and then skip, since those are alternating. So that's kind of how I've been doing it. It's a little haphazard. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it. It's essentially me just randomly picking a starting point and then doing every other. So that's what I've been doing. And the sparklers, I'll show them to you. I forget exactly. Oh, I have it right here. They're called Sparkler Mint Glow. So they do glow in the dark. It's a kind of cool effect every time I turn off the lights. But you know, when I'm done with my little DP session, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So here we go. Boom. Things that I noticed about these is they are heavy drills. These are glass drills, and they're so much heavier than normal drills. But look at that crazy iridescent effect. The amount of sparkle is just like, it's got like a mirrored finish, and sometimes like it's like if I stare at them too long, it almost feels a little blinding. But this color gives off some yellow and orange hues, as well as that green. Very, very unique and cool. And they're just a dream to work with because they're like, they have like some heft to them. There's some quality and heft to them. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, what would it be like to do an entire diamond painting with these sparklers? I bet you that canvas, when you were done, would weigh a ton, because these are just like significantly heavier in the tray. The one thing that I am concerned about, and we'll see what happens, as I continue working through the kit. I'm going to get to the halfway point and see where we are. But because these are larger, they don't sit as condensed as a regular drill would. So when I looked at them and I was like, oh, I've got a full container of the sparklers and a full container of this, I'll just do 1 for 1, I'll be good. Half a container of each. That made sense in my head, but as I've been using them, I realized that not as many sparklers fit in the same container as regular drills because they're just more dense. They don't compact down like regular drills. I think they've got more height to them. So as you can see, I've only gotten through maybe about a fifth of that one, and I've already gotten through about half of that one. So I don't think, if they intend on you using the majority of this, I doubt that I'm going to have enough to supplement as I originally planned. So I don't know if I'm going to bite the bullet now and just order more in preparation, or just call it good. Whatever point I get to where I've run out, I'll just finish with the regular drills. Or I wait until I hit that point and then order more, make that call once I do get to that stage. I haven't quite decided what I want to do there, because, I mean, I've already, granted I didn't use all those sparklers, but, adding 10, 15 bucks to a kit, even an extra $5 or $10 to a kit, that can be pretty significant. If the kit was only 50, you're adding another 10% to the cost, or 20%, or if you're picking 4 drills, now it's, an extra 50%. So that can add up, doing all those customizations. So I was hoping to keep it fairly minimal. If this was a kit that I was like, this is something that I'm absolutely obsessed with and I will be hanging this up, or it's going to be a really nice gift, then yeah, I would be a little more caution in the wind about spending an extra, $20, $30, $40 on specialty drills. But this is really, granted, I do enjoy this kit and I do like the image. It's mainly one that I picked out just so I could participate in these 2 events. So it's not really something that I'm like, ooh, I'm going to really splash out on this kit to make it incredible. I'm just kind of adding those enhancements more to see kind of how they turn out, and also because I want to participate in the Rainbow Sparklers event, which is being hosted by Tima of DP with Sparklers. So their stipulation is you need to use DP with Sparklers on your kit somewhere. And so that's kind of why I'm like, do I want to do 2 separate orders for drills for a kit that, it's not like this is a, bucket list, kit that I've been waiting to do for so long. But give me Where the Fun Never Ends, and that's going to be a Christmas gift that I'm so excited to give to my buddy. And that's like the first thing I'm going to do is go through and take a look at where I can dress that thing up. And I'm probably going to go big with that one. You're probably going to see a lot of sparklers on that canvas, and it's a lot of canvas too. So, but I think it's going to be a nice gift, and I want it to really, really stand out. So, so yeah, that is the sparklers. As you can see, I'm using some yellow ABs here. Okay, so we're about 40 minutes in. So I want to talk about kind of the biggest thing that's happened to me, and it's been something that's been going on over the past couple of weeks. I just didn't want to jinx myself, and I know that I have some people that are work friends that may end up listening to this at some point, so I didn't want to speak too soon or, cause any issues. But a couple of weeks ago, I was approached by a company on LinkedIn. The recruiter there wanted to chat with me. I'm just going to check on Apollo. One moment. Okay, didn't mean to leave you with a cliffhanger. I just didn't hear him for a minute. And then I was like, I also need to use the restroom. So I went ahead and just took a little break, but I am back. So yeah, left you on a cliffhanger there, didn't I? Yeah, a few weeks ago I was reached out to by a recruiter, and I wasn't necessarily looking for anything by any means. I mean, my current role has definitely had its ebbs and flows, some rockiness, some stability, but that's just kind of the nature of a lot of jobs, right? But I think, as a recruiter, and me being a recruiter for quite some time, one of the things that I've kind of really stood by is, being able to provide the best candidate experience that I can for the people that I'm hiring, and making sure that we're doing everything in our power. I'm doing everything in my power to provide a smooth process for them that doesn't yank their chain, that makes sure that we're respecting them as potential candidates and respecting them as people, and doing our best to create opportunities. And that's kind of like why I love what I do and why I do what I do. So I need to make sure that the organization that I'm standing behind and essentially selling to people has that same motivation, not only in their how they treat their people once they arrive, but also in the practices and policies and that they put in place and the decisions that they make. So I was just running up against some of the policies, procedures, and changes that didn't really, in my eyes, align with my personal value and why I take pride in what I do as a profession. So I think the writing was on the wall. It was just a matter of timing, and I wasn't necessarily actively looking for something, but so this person reached out to me out of the blue, and I immediately jumped on it because I don't like to leave people hanging. I was like, absolutely, let's go ahead and chat. Like, it doesn't hurt to talk, it doesn't hurt to at least hear someone out, especially, she was like, I found your profile. I think you'd be an excellent match for this role. So I was like, all right, let me just see what's going on here. So she gave me some of like the hot selling points for the position, and sent me the job description, and I was really intrigued by it. It's a type of recruitment that I've wanted to get into, and it's definitely a sector that I've been interested in from a stability standpoint, because that's another thing that I really look for. I even though I have moved roles a couple of times in the past 2 years, I think it's in pursuit of something that I can really get some longevity out of, and I just haven't really identified that yet. And so I guess that can come off as like your job hopping quite frequently. And as a recruiter, when I see that, sometimes I'm like, a year here, 2 years here, what's going on? But I think for me, at this stage, it's more about finding a place that I can really sink my teeth into and spend a lot of years with. And if I'm seeing some red flags early on, then I'm less prone to, I don't know if maybe it's my age or how long I've been in recruitment, but I'm less prone to be like, let's give it 4 or 5 years and see what happens. I'm like, now we gotta find something that works here. So, and I'm so sorry that the downstairs neighbor's dog, I think they might have left. And so now he's barking, poor babies. He's very, very sweet, but he's a barker. So, anyway, so she reached out to me. I read the job description and I applied through their website, and I was like, all right, well, got everything done. Let me know if what you need from me. And she was like, okay, all right, we'll let you know if we have any additional questions. We have a bunch of candidates to get through, that whole thing. And so I'm not one to push the subject either, so I just kind of left it alone. And I'm so busy at work that it's not like even it's something I can actively think about. Like, I've just got to try to like keep my head above water. And so we were pushing, and then at my current job, a bunch of changes happened where they had increased their KPIs, or performance indicators for us. Essentially, our goals went from being very difficult to pretty darn near unachievable without working weekends, without working extended hours, without sacrificing other things that we need to do. And in addition to that, our team was given the additional requirement that is, if we don't hit these new increased goals, then extended hours outside of the 40 hours that we are paid to work are now mandatory. And so that's kind of what ended up being a little bit of the breaking point for me at my current role is, I am no stranger to cracking open my computer at night just to kind of check up on things, or working a little bit on a weekend to respond to some LinkedIn messages just to keep the ball rolling and keep candidates engaged. Like I'm not shying away from, going the extra mile to make sure that the piece of business that I'm responsible for is successful. But this came down as almost this is your punishment for not achieving the new goals that have been put in place. And keep in mind, these had only been put in place for a couple of weeks. So I felt that there wasn't even really we weren't even given the opportunity to like ramp up to get there. It was just like, sorry, if you hit your goals, great. If you don't, you got to work 45 hours a week, or, whatever that ends up being. So I was a little more than frustrated for sure, especially because I still crate Apollo until he gets neutered, which isn't until October at the earliest. So that definitely rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm literally screaming out of there right at 5 so I can come let him out so he doesn't have an accident. And luckily, I also have the support of my friends / roommates who live downstairs. One of them works from home, so he can come up and let Apollo out most days, at least once, to just go potty, and then he's got to get back to work. But some days he is at their Denver office, or he's got other stuff going on, so he can't pull himself away to go let Apollo out. So on those days, I really need to get out of there. Like I am packing up at 4:57 and I am out the door. So the fact that it was like, no, actually, if you don't hit these goals, then you're gonna have to just stay late. And so I was very, it was kind of a locking of horns with my manager, to be honest. Keep in mind, the other thing that was frustrating is this wasn't implemented for the larger team. It was something that our individual manager decided was going to be her approach to encouraging us. A little misguided, if I'm being totally honest, but we all try to do the best we can with the goals that we've been given. So no hard feelings, but I didn't take to it too well. Let's just say that. So I kind of locked horns with her on it. And another thing that I guess was kind of a little bit frustrating there is another thing that has been, sorry, I had to cut it off because I said where I work, and I was like, another thing with that situation is their structure is 100% on-site. Like there is no work from home option. There is no hybrid model, there is no hybrid model, at least on my particular team. It is in office every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. However, it was kind of wink, wink, nod, nodded that once we hit this particular milestone, which happened in June, that things would become a little bit more lax. There'd be more flexibility. We just got to hit this, just got to hit this finish line, guys. We just got to get there. And then we can kind of let off the gas a little bit and regroup, and people can be home, that type of thing. And it wasn't a guarantee. It was just like anytime someone brought it up, whoever they were talking to from leadership would just point to that deadline and be like, we just got to make it to XYZ, So XYZ date comes and goes. I had gotten Apollo, not necessarily thinking that, okay, I'll be able to be with him around that date, but that was kind of in the back of my mind, like, okay, I just got, this will be a lot easier once I have some flexibility, and I think that's coming, So that date comes and goes, and no one says boop about it. And then on a call with our larger leadership, someone brought it up, and they were like, yeah, well, we kind of reevaluated, and that's not going to be something that we're discussing until at least the beginning of next year of 2023. And so that was another blow to me, like, I can't keep putting, my roommates and people in situations where they've got to take care of, and not that I've been necessarily putting that, they're happy to do it, but I was really hoping that I would be able to negotiate or work out some kind of hybrid schedule, a couple days from home, couple days at work, just to kind of even balance it out, because I am there Monday through Friday. And so anyway, so that was also something that was a big contributor to me engaging with this recruiter, or at least hoping that I, would hear back, or maybe I needed to start looking. So that's all happening in the background, or in the meantime, and I haven't heard anything from that person. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I just need to start looking in earnest, rather than trying to wait for something to come. So a couple weeks later, or a week later, she reaches back out and was like, hey, I just want some clarification. We're ideally looking for someone that has some experience in developing internship and apprenticeship programs. And while I personally I'm not like a rock star when it comes to internships and apprenticeships from a building the program out from the ground up standpoint, I have been involved in helping to recruit interns, recruit apprentices, get them set up with housing, get them connected with the hiring managers to go through the vetting process. I've done all the recruitment-y things that go along with that. I just haven't put together a week one, you're going to be working with your, your assigned supervisor, and you're going to be learning this, the curriculum. I have not built that. So I was very transparent about that. But I also have a lot of passion around getting students, recent graduates, into the workforce and experiencing some real life stuff as quickly as possible, even if they're still in school, so they have a clear understanding of what their job and their career is going to look like. Because I do think there is some shell shock for students that maybe don't go through that and kind of pick their career or pick their major based off of what they were interested in school, or I took a test and it told me that this is what I'd be really good at. And I know with modern times, a lot of students aren't doing that and are a little bit more intentional. But, I picked my first major of culinary arts based on the fact that I really liked my cooking class in high school. But then you get into a professional kitchen and it's like, oh God, this is a lot, so I ended up not pursuing that path. But just, had I, been put in that kind of high stress environment, maybe early on, maybe, even in high school, I should have probably gotten a job working in a kitchen or something like that. That would have helped to guide me, because it wasn't until I got to college and they had basically a functioning kitchen where we had to serve the other students and staff a nice meal for lunch, or even dinners. It wasn't until I got into that setting working with real chefs that I was like, you mean to tell me everyone's screaming all the time? No thanks. So so yeah, I am a big advocate for let's get you behind the wheel a little bit, rather than just throwing you behind a car and saying, okay, now start your life, see ya. So sorry, I have a Citra Pale Ale that I'm sipping on tonight, I suppose, and some water. I do have some water. Yeah, so anyway, gave my whole spiel about what I have done, what I haven't done, and then another pause, kind of a pause in the conversation. This is all via LinkedIn. So I was like, oh no, they probably weren't as impressed with that as I was hoping they might be, or I didn't have the experience they were looking for. So I kind of just had resigned myself to okay, that one wasn't, a home run. It would have been a long shot going from someone reaching out to you via LinkedIn to, getting the job. That's kind of, I don't think it's as rare these days, but, not actively pursuing it, it just kind of came to me, which I guess my current role was the same. But anyway, so during all that waiting, things are continuing to just be more tense at my current office as far as like people really pushing up against these new goal settings and just kind of the extra demand. And it just, the environment definitely changed. There's more talk of like, I'm looking, or that type of thing. And as that's going on, then I finally get the call, like, hey, we'd like to do an actual Zoom interview with you. If you can, meet with us. Or they wanted to do an in-person. And it just so happened that the only day that she was able to get everyone together for that Zoom interview was the day that we had our like all team meeting. I could not miss it. Otherwise it would be really awkward. Like everyone from TA is there except for Anthony. So I was like, I just don't think I'll have the time to finish my meeting, drive to your office and back within my lunch hour, within, that type of thing. So they were like, that's okay, let's just do virtual. So I really appreciated them having the flexibility. Did the virtual interview kind of hidden in a little corner of our courtyard at my current job. It's like, oh God, this probably looks so conspicuous, but did that. And then later that day, they called me back and wanted to do just essentially a final follow-up. And luckily, I didn't have a ton going on. And at my current job, I won a number of recruitment contests. And one of the things I won was 16 hours of PTO. So paid time off, essentially vacation time. I've won it over the course of the, 9 months, 10 months that I've been with the role. Just various competitions for hitting goals, that type of thing. So I was no slouch, but you can only push me so hard, so, or at least you can only punish me so much for underachieving on things that seem way beyond the normal person's reach or the regular realm of what can be accomplished in 40 hours. And we'll get to how that all panned out. Okay, I'm not trying to complain. So anyway, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cash in 4 hours of my winnings, 4 of my 16, so I can do a half day tomorrow. So I was able to do that final interview from home, which was just a lot more comfortable. And I don't want to feel like I'm interviewing on my current company's dime. Like, I want to be above board. I want to be above board on all this stuff. So did that, and then they were like, okay, thank you so much. We'll let you know by Monday, how we'd like to proceed, or if we'd like to proceed. I was just like, okay, just breathe. It's going to be fine. So, long story short, Monday comes and they offer me the position. So I got the role. I'm super, super happy. And I don't necessarily want to spill the beans on any of that. And I don't know, just because, who knows who's going to find me, on YouTube, or, if I don't, honestly, I think it's just common knowledge that you don't share that much personal information. I don't think I would have a problem with it if someone reached out to me directly and was like, hey, I watched your video. Where are you working? That's fine, but I just don't think I want to announce that. What I can say is, some of the big things for me, like I said, I wanted to find a role that I could really sink my teeth into and get some longevity out of and really create a life around or with, is this type of industry, or this type of segment of the workforce. And this is a segment that offers a pension and incredible benefits and just all these things that you just really don't see that often anymore, in a department or in a sector that I think is a little bit more modern than people might assume. So, it's just, it really seems up my alley. It really seems like this is maybe what I've been working towards in my, 10 plus years of recruitment, is being in this type of role where that job security is just rock solid, and there's always going to be an influx or a need for additional people and support, and so there's a lot of security on that front as well. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping it just goes amazingly well. Team seems awesome. it's half the commute, but I only have to do that commute 2 days a week because it's 3 days from home. So I get to be with Apollo 3 of the 5 days out of the week. And when I'm not able to be with him, I'm 11 minutes from the house, so I can still come home and let him out for lunch and spend, some time with, I almost want, it almost like makes me emotional just talking it through, like, because it's just like, it's exactly what I needed. And it's something that just kind of came to me. And I just feel so lucky that it all panned out and it all worked out. And I got a chance to go into the office or the campus to do my drug and alcohol screening last week. And I was just like, this is so amazing. Like, what? So I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So, yeah. So then back to reality, right? Of, okay, I put in my notice this past Thursday. So I technically had 2 weeks from that Thursday, but my manager was kind enough to let me use the rest of those 1 PTO hours, which I had 12 left of. So I used those. They gave us an extra X amount of hours for providing proof of vaccination when we started. So I had those hours. So all in all, I had two days of PTO to still use, and they weren't going to cash me out on that, but they did let me use it. So even though my last day is Thursday, my last day is really Tuesday because I'm taking Wednesday and Thursday off. So I have literally, from the time of this filming, I have 5 business days and then I'm done. So yeah, and that'll give me Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off to just kind of regroup, refresh, recharge. I might do a little camping and just kind of get my head clear to approach this new job with, the best foot forward, best attitude forward, tons of optimism. So, but yeah, after I accepted that job, I think it was that next day after I put in my notice that we had like an all hands meeting. Keep in mind, this had already been on the books, this all hands meeting, but they had like an extra little like tab in one of the slides and they're like, oh, by the way, Anthony put in his notice. But the whole meeting was about, we realized that the goals that we've set might be more stretch goals and actually something that's going to be achievable day one, or even, over the course of even months, to be honest. So we're rolling that back and we're going to implement our old goals from the previous quarter, which were much more attainable. It's like basically all the stuff that kind of pushed me to my breaking point must have been sentiments that everybody was feeling, or a majority of the team was feeling, because they worked it all back. They basically said, just kidding, let's go back to how it was. So part of me was like, oh man, maybe I should have waited. But then I'm like, no, like even though that they're trying to kind of work that back now, it doesn't mean that something else of that similar kind of mindset is not already in the pipeline, and yeah, it's much more numbers focused than people focused. And I guess I understand to a certain extent, but and I think that's the case everywhere. Like, you can't just be a recruiter that never recruits, right? But there has to be balance between pushing people and challenging them and breaking them, and actively knowing that it will break them and doing it anyway. So that's kind of where I was. So yeah, so I guess the other thing that changed too is, that whole extended hours thing just kind of fell to the wayside. I kind of locked horns with my manager. We talked it out during our next meeting, but I was like, it's just not something I'm able to do. And if there's something else that I can do to prove, to you that I'm worth having on your team, like I have to take care of my puppy. So I have been working on some other options. I've got a friend that has been offering to come up and let him out and hang out with him for a little bit, for a fee. There's also people that will come to your home, like a service, and come to your home and let your dog out. So there's obviously stuff I can do, but I think more than anything else, I was just looking for the flexibility to care for him when I needed to. And the sentiment was like, no, there's no flexibility there. And so I don't know. I know she's trying, or my manager's trying really hard to kind of set a precedent or a standard of excellence for her team. And I want to be a part of that, or I wanted to be a part of that, but it really felt, and I know she was not making it personal, but it felt a little bit personal. Like, all the people sitting around us are not doing this, even though we're out. God, I have to just be really careful because people will watch this that know who I am and know where I work and probably work with me. But it's not a lie. There are people on that team that I personally and other members on my team were outperforming, and yet they were not being asked to stretch themselves in that same way, So it just felt a little misguided. Misguided is the best way the best thing I could say. So no hard feelings at all. It's everybody learns, everybody grows. And I think it's all about finding a company and an organization that you can really stand behind and love, and love what they do and love what they stand for, and come into work every day feeling proud that you're getting people on board that team. And I think I think I might have been missing that. And that's okay. It's not every single role that is going to be where you want to be to sell, or where you want to be to represent and get people on board. I'm not out here applying for Sauerkraut Incorporated. It's just not my jam, but I'm sure there's somebody that would love to do that, And so once I got in with my current company and just kind of figured out what the environment was like, what the culture was like, and that's when I was just like, oh, this isn't exactly what was described during the interview process. And I made it work for, about 10 months, trying to mold myself in that image so I could get to that place where I'm like, yes, I've become someone that has learned to appreciate the good that is happening here and the greatness that is happening here. And now I can share it. Like, I did everything I could to swallow my feelings about a situation and try to see the why behind it over and over and over again. And eventually it was too much. And I don't know, it's a bummer, and I want to share it with you guys, but also I'm like, do I just remain tight-lipped on this? Because I don't want my current employer to watch this video and be like, well, he's a ticking time bomb. It's not that situation at all. It's just me being honest about wanting to find a place that I can really just develop a love and passion for and shout from the rooftops like, this is an amazing place to work, So I'm hoping that I hit it with this one, and I really think I did. I mean, this is the type of organization where people are they're retiring out of these roles. Your attrition comes from people going into retirement or semi-retirement. It's not as often like people leaving for the sake of leaving. So I think that bodes well. But anyway, I've been blabbering on for, I guess 20 minutes since the last time I stopped, but I think that's 20 minutes on top of the 40 that I had already done. So I think we're pushing an hour. But yeah, that was my big announcement. I start a new job, 3 days from home, which will be nice. It means that I can log off, right at 5 or soon thereafter and not have to do the commute some days. And so I can go right into caring for Apollo, get him his walk, maybe even be able to take him on a couple walks throughout the day, make sure he's got his food and all that good stuff. But then since my post-work routine will be faster, maybe I can create some more content and be faster about putting that up. So the joys of a flexible schedule, already I'm looking forward to them. So that's also a good place to start. I just finished up with those ABs. There was other stuff that, there's always, I could chat I could chat and chat and chat, which I think makes me a good candidate for WIP chats. But I think that's a good wrap up to that topic and to the night. I'm going to go ahead and keep going and try to get this section done before I head to bed. But please let me know if you have any comments, questions. Let me know if you've run into a similar situation in your workplace where, you know, the culture or style of work was maybe painted in one light until you really got in there and got a chance to take a peek behind the curtain. Or let me know if you've been facing situations where you've been, pushed to your limits or stretched really thin, and how you were able to kind of work through those and cope. Because I think that's definitely something that I need to take from this experience and grow from, is how do I take that same situation and not take it so personally, and express how I, what my needs are from a personal standpoint, and get that point across, rather than, my response was just to say, no, So, it's a learning experience no matter what. I'm not trying to say that I executed that critical conversation flawlessly. So, any tips or tricks that you have for navigating those types of things where, you're being faced with something that either seems unreasonable or unattainable, or receiving a punishment, or I don't even want to call it a punishment, but you heard what, you understand what the situation was. You've got to work late because you didn't hit your numbers from the previous week. So how you would navigate that kind of conversation while maintaining a sense of professionalism and coming to a common ground. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Welcome to Office Chat, WIP and Chat Talk. There's probably a lot of people that are like, yeah, I went ahead and clicked away. But if you stuck around, thank you so much. We'll get back to the diamond painting of it all, but that was some news that's happening in my life, and thank you so much for sticking around. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of this content, and as always, happy placing. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.